I was slightly unsure of what the audience would be today, so I've kind of made it quite agnostic in terms of the delivery. So I'm going to be presenting as with my hat on from FANUC today, albeit I have got another hat, which is the chair of the British Automation and Robotics Association, which has now become Automation UK Robotics with its new name. So we are, as part of that role, an association that represents the industry, the suppliers, and now the end users going forward within the manufacturing industries in the UK. So with my FANUC on, I thought, well, I'll start off just telling you all, sorry the slide's a bit bright there, but give you an idea of what FANUC looks like. That's Mount Fuji in the background there, and the FANUC site at the foot of Mount Fuji in the foothills there, about 1,000 metres above sea level. We manufacture there roughly, I'll say 12,000 robots per month, for the global market at the moment, plus a load of other stuff, so CNC controls and machines and some IoT software products. One of the key things with FANUC there, as you'll see, is that it's heavily R&D focused in Japan. We don't do much R&D outside of Japan. There is European Technical Centre doing some R&D. There is some work in America. And hopefully going forward, fingers crossed, in a couple of weeks' time, I can announce some R&D work that might be going on in the UK. So I'm just hopeful of that we're going to get that across the line. And yeah, watch this space. One of the key things there is that we use a huge number of robots within our own factories. Around about 5,500 robots are used in our own factories, one of the most heavily automated manufacturing sites globally. Where we see that production capacity of more than 318,000 units, that's robots, that's CNC controls, that's motors, motors that will go into those robots or CNC controls. Currently, we produce around about 250,000 motors per month. And you think, well, that's quite a few motors being produced there. One of the key things in Japan is that we are, say, very R&D heavy. One R&D engineer to every sort of 2 members of staff. So some production staff still exist doing the difficult non-automatable tasks, but who knows in the future with the likes of Hal and some of the others in the room today, we may be employing even more robots with some clever software or AI, who knows. Closer to home, so here in the UK, FANUC UK, we've been in the UK for over 30 years, and a slightly different approach to the market in the UK compared to our counterparts in Europe or globally, in that FANUC UK also have a systems capability, a solutions capability, a system integrator as discussed. So whilst we're also selling product to those companies in the UK who are able to take that product and build their own solutions and systems, we also do that in a separate track, if you like. The reason being is that historically there weren't any integrators. When robots first got brought into the UK, 30, 40 years ago, there weren't no integrators. It wasn't a thing. So how do you start to integrate robots? Well, you do it yourself as an OEM. And we've maintained that throughout the course of our history. We currently do roughly £20 million plus in revenue from solutions per year in the UK. Well over 100 robots deployed by ourselves in solutions. A number of different big major OEMs that we work with, as you might expect, Nissan being the heaviest sort of deployment we've got in the UK, with over 2,000 robot arms at Nissan up in the northeast. We're based across the road from the MTC in Coventry, if you've been up to that sort of part of the world. Advanced Manufacturing sort of park there on Anstey Park. So we've been there 9 years. And hoping to extend our facility, which is currently just over 100,000 square feet, by an extra 25% in the coming years. So we're in that period of growth going forward with different customers that we're working with. So I was asked today to sort of give you a bit of an idea and an OEM's viewpoint on why robot adoption is kind of where it's at in the UK. We all hear that obviously robot adoption in the UK is not where it needs to be compared to our European or our global counterparts. So the key thing, and I think it's already been mentioned once, in that we have a really, really good technology stack within the industry, within our supply chain, that fits the UK. Yeah, that technology stack is only ever improving. With what we're hearing today, making it easier to deploy robots, making it easier to support and maintain robots going forward. But the key thing from our point of view is that we just need to deploy them quicker, deploy them cheaper, ideally. That's not always easy, and with lower risk to the end user. The key here is that the technology is available. We have proven robots, proven software, and proven integrators. They are only improving as we go forward. The real challenge from our point of view as an OEM, and I think from what you hear later on with other people presenting today, is that the adoption depends on the confidence within the end user community, the financiers, making sure that actually the risk is at the right level, making sure a business case is pulled together that meets the requirements of a business, making sure that the timing of that business case fits the business need. One of the challenges we see in the UK is that we're a little bit short-term in our thinking. In Europe, within other global manufacturers who are wider or adopting robots on a wider level, they tend to have a longer-term viewpoint. We need to obviously make sure that we've got the right skills in place. And Sebastian, I fully appreciate the fact that you put a spin on the way in which skills are looked at across the UK. Going forward, if we're going to employ more robots within our manufacturing sites, we need more people to look after those robots. It's not a case of replacing robots or replacing people willy-nilly. It's making sure that they are very focused on where those robots are being deployed. And I probably won't be the first to say it today, but yeah, it's the dirty, the dull and the dangerous jobs that we obviously need to try and use those robots within. Jobs where structure and where process requirements are correct for robot deployment. And the last thing there is commitment. I think one of the challenges we have from a government point of view is actually putting the right level of surety within the manufacturers in the UK to commit to things. Whether it's one government after the next, whether it's global geopolitical situation, there's always something that's always a problem. So yeah, penultimate slide there. I think the capital constraints of businesses based on that short-term view are pretty critical. Making sure that you've got a return on investment over a longer period. The culture of the UK is that we're much happier to keep machines going for longer than our European or global counterparts. We do have a bit of a reliance on labour in the UK, and that's been driven by the government. If they announce something by one of the big prime manufacturers like Jaguar Land Rover, for example, what do they report? They report the number of jobs it's going to create, which is all good, but not the actual wealth it's going to bring to the UK. Yeah. So a new battery plant in Somerset, 4,000 new jobs, fantastic, brilliant. Where are you going to find 4,000 people in Somerset to build batteries? It's a big challenge. Not the fact that it's going to bring 100 billion to the UK's economy. These are the things that maybe need a bit of a spin from government or from the press. And I think it's all on us to actually try and support getting that message changed slightly so that the general public can see that manufacturing is vitally important to the UK. Again, this is an OEM viewpoint, and I think that the support is slightly fragmented. Yeah, who do you go to for some funding? Yeah, I think that whilst the government is great at sort of saying, well, there's funding available, it's not necessarily quite so clear on who you go to for support. Is it the Catapults? Is it the Innovate UKs? Is it the ATIs or whoever sit there in the ecosystem to support? It's not necessarily so clear. And the last thing there is that we are fantastic at R&D, as has already been said. Absolutely brilliant in the UK at R&D, but getting them ideas to a commercial point of view is sometimes missed. I think the support from industry could be better. As an OEM, we try and do our bit, but our pot of money is not endless in supporting those up-and-coming businesses, those startups, to get to a point where they have a commercial solution on the table as a product that can be deployed easily. And then last slide, going back, there's always something, yeah? And we have to get past this. And going back to the idea that we need commitment, it's getting past this. You know, there's always something in the way of people making a decision for the positive for their business. You know, and there are things missing on there, which was really this is an American slide, so there are things missing there from a UK point of view, but I didn't put them on there because I think it'd just be a bit too negative to finish on. So yeah, that's my presentation. So I'm not going to leave it on that. I'll leave it on this slide here. Yeah, thank you.